Today, we are going to be talking about one of the finest strikers in the world, Israel Adesanya. And I want to talk in particular about why this former kickboxer who had a record of 75-5 never won a major kickboxing title, but was able to go on and win a UFC title. So let's start this episode off with the right energy, and I just want to let you guys know what I really think about Israel's kickboxing skills, and they were phenomenal. If this guy had continued down the path of kickboxing, yes, he probably would have won a Glory, ONE FC, whatever other big promotions out there. He probably would have won a title at some point. But what I want to look at in particular is why he never won one in the past, and what about his fight style stopped him from winning that major kickboxing title when, once he entered MMA, he only had one loss, and he's one of the finest strikers, finest competitors of all time. And this is a great lesson for many people out there, because when you are looking at what sort of style you want to pursue or what your dream is, for instance, if I went into MMA initially, and I noticed that, okay, this isn't really vibing with me. And I know that I love having my hands up here. I love having a tight guard. I really like having the boxing gloves on. Then I might go, a better path for me is to focus on kickboxing or boxing. So when we take the path of least resistance, the one we have the most chance of success, this is a fantastic choice. And that is why Israel has done so well. Somebody who has such an amazing kickboxing record might initially face a lot of criticism for switching sports. People might go, you've accomplished so much, why don't you just go that extra mile and get that major kickboxing title? But he recognized that MMA is the better path for him, and look what has happened. He is now making millions of dollars. He's a UFC champion, and I can't imagine things going nearly as well for him if he had followed the kickboxing path. Now let's talk in particular, what about his fight style is not conducive to kickboxing? First of all, glove size. I've talked about it so much. It makes a massive difference. When you have on big gloves, not only offensively, but defensively as well, it changes everything. Now, Adesanya is somebody who has his hands out here, and he relies on a lot of head movement and foot movement and basically not being there when the punch or kick comes. That is a great style for MMA. If that is a style you like, MMA is probably the path for you. For kickboxing, it is not so good. Mostly because people in MMA very often throw 1-2 or one and they come with a kick, but they do not throw like kickboxing where people just go on the hunt and they'll keep coming and coming. So if you miss the first shot, you slip the first shot in kickboxing, as Israel would do, there'd be a second, a third, a fourth, and eventually you're going to get tagged. Evasiveness is not as effective in kickboxing as it is in MMA. And that, in my opinion, is one of the main reasons that Adesanya has done so well in MMA, his evasiveness that he is able to execute. And as we're talking about glove size, his offense is that much more dangerous now as well, because in the past, maybe he'd throw a counter shot. And with that big glove on, the big kickboxing glove, 10 ounces, the chance of knocking somebody down is very small. But now his single shots with an MMA glove or a 1-2, very rarely going up to a combo of 3, is that much more dangerous with that 4-ounce glove. So having the smaller glove is better for him offensively and defensively. Now, Israel, of course, did have a massive amount of wins, 75 wins and only 5 losses. And when we talk about major kickboxing titles, I'm not saying he never won a title. Back in New Zealand, he won King of the Cage. But when he went to China, he just fell a little bit short. He had a loss, actually 2, against Alex Pereira, who is now in the UFC. And like we were saying before, that big shot that put Izzy out, if it had been an MMA, maybe the shot would not have landed, because Izzy wouldn't have had the gloves there. He wouldn't have felt as protected. He would have been even better on his evasiveness. When he fought for the Glory title, which he did, he was just so close. And that was a very, very close fight as well. But when he fought there, it was just basically output, as far as I remember. Jason Wilness had a higher output and landed necessarily not cleaner blows, but he just landed more blows, because the more you put out in kickboxing, the more chance you have of getting that victory. And somebody like Adesanya, who's not a high output fighter, here, it does not suit him to go forward and try and bang with these guys. He wants to stay back, and he wants to touch, and he wants to use his range and evasiveness. Now, Adesanya also had a loss against a Canadian, Simon Marcus, who I've actually met. Super good guy, had an amazing kickboxing Muay Thai record, and the evasiveness of Israel Adesanya, which works so well for stopping takedowns, it's very hard to stop clinch work. It's an entirely different beast. And Simon Marcus was able to close the distance much easier than anybody has been able to do in the UFC, mostly because without that threat of the takedown, just walking forward, boom, boom, and slamming in a knee or a round kick, closing that distance is that much easier in kickboxing. So really the thing to keep in mind here is, yes, Adesanya probably would have gone on to win a kickboxing title, a major kickboxing title, something like one of the glory ones. But overall, his move to MMA was obviously so much better for his career. He's now a superstar. He's doing fantastic. What you guys can make sure you do is when you start off and you're looking at what fight style, if you want to compete, is going to be best for you, basically look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses, look at glove size, fight pace requirements, all of that kind of stuff, and then from there, base which route you are going to be the most successful at. And what you can always do down the road is make a switch. Once you've been successful in one fight sport, it'll be that much easier to be successful in the next fight sport. So you can do something like Izzy did, where you really focus on kickboxing and then you make the fast jump and climb the ranks very quickly. It's much easier to do that than to enter UFC or to even get into the promotion as a nobody. So that's my advice today, guys. Be very aware of your fight style, your strengths, your weaknesses, where you will be strongest, and hopefully many of you can go forward and do as well as Israel Adesanya has done, choosing his fight sport path. And it's just going to make things that much easier for you. Guys, if you enjoyed the episode, please give it a like. If you haven't already, join the channel, get subscribed. As always, guys, train hard, and I'll see you back here soon for another video.